working for you. The Edge at 11 starts now.
This is a torturous method. Let's try to punish welfare recipients and deem them, label them as being lazy, and that's not true.
Get off your duff and get involved, help your community.
Supporters called it a new effort to clamp down on the state's welfare rolls, but opponents say it's just another way to pick on the poor. On the Edge tonight, a local lawmaker says if you get a welfare check from the state, you should volunteer your time in return. Community service or no welfare. Critics say that's just another way to label people on welfare as freeloaders. Fox 2's Andrea Isom breaks it down for us.
When you start talking about welfare reform, for some folks, those are fighting words. There are people who do not want the government messing around with the rules for the recipients. But there is one senator who is really serious about changing some of the ways the system is working. He calls it accountability, along with something else.
I see nothing wrong with saying if you're going to get free money from the government, you should ultimately have some skin in the game.
State Senator Joe Hune of Livingston County is fed up with a few things when it comes to welfare. What kind of gets his craw?
This entitlement mentality that government needs to take care of people. And my perspective is government should be there to help those who can't help themselves.
Now for the second time, Senator Hune has sponsored legislation. Last fall, it failed. But Hune has a hunch that this go round, he's right on.
From years past, the legislature actually put in a blanket drug testing for all welfare recipients. That was struck down in court in not only Michigan's law, but several others across the country.
It was called unconstitutional. So these brand new bills have been tweaked a bit. The first one, making the drug testing policy for recipients not mandatory, but strictly suspicion-based.
Reasonable suspicion that the department thinks a welfare recipient is on drugs, then they can demand a test.
And if that test comes back positive,
then you have to go to some type of treatment. If not, you get completely cut off of your welfare payments.
Now on to bill number 2, performing community service to receive that taxpayer cash.
Can you tell me what's wrong for having some skin in the game, for going out there and saying, okay, let's do some community service in order to receive your payment? I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Oh, she sees something wrong with it, all right. All of it. Maureen Taylor is the state chair for the Michigan Welfare Rights Organization. Taylor is ticked off and sick and tired of talking about what she calls a witch hunt, gunning for poor people.
The volunteer work we would recommend is to send welfare recipients to school to learn to be nurse practitioners, to learn how to be plumbers and pipe fitters and painters, and the other kinds of employment opportunities that are coming up. We don't need to have welfare recipients doing volunteer work, picking up the trash in front of restaurants in the community. Not too many jobs doing that.
I think it just gets people a path to self-sustaining, and I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. And especially when you see so much need out there, so much need in the church community, 4-H programs, homeless shelters, what have you.
We have elected officials that don't have anything else to do but arrive at additional torturous, costly, nonsensical, always punishing poor welfare recipients.
Bullcrap. Plain and simple, it's bullcrap.
What welfare recipients need is employment, and if you can't find us employment, then we have to have some kind of cash income and some kind of food stamps until we're able to work.
Get off your duff.
We could not leave Lansing without getting the scoop from Fox 2's political analyst, Tim Skubic, on the community service and the suspicion-based drug testing bill, too.
There is an attitude among Democrats that Republicans are always coming after the welfare recipients, an easy target for them. They don't like that, so there will be pushback. But the harsh reality is, in this current legislature, you've got the Republicans controlling the Senate and the House, and you've got a Republican sitting in the governor's office. Do the math. This is almost a done deal. It's one thing to say, go out and do community service. What about the 2 or 3 kids at home? You leave them alone? Of course you don't. So does the state kick in money for that? That's a huge question mark. I think the answer is probably no. So in theory, in concept, sounds good. The practicality, the devil is in the details. This one may be a little tougher to sell.
When you talk about community service, the senator says he's hoping that volunteer work will eventually lead to a job. And when he talks about the drug testing portion, he says if you fail it, he thinks you should foot the bill for that test. I guess we will see where all this ends up real soon. I'm Andrea Isom on The Edge.